Khan?
Yes, first of all, I'll say something about central banks, though. In the UK, with this government, we very much believe in the independence of central banks and, indeed, respect for wider economic institutions. It's only 3 and a bit years ago the previous Conservative Prime Minister and Chancellor spent months undermining the Bank of England, didn't allow the independent forecaster to do a budget forecast, combined with a load of unaffordable tax policy, sent interest rates soaring in the UK, inflation was unleashed and pensions were put in peril. And so we very much believe that even though, of course, we would like interest rates to be lower, we have to get inflation down to get interest rates lower, which is why we're taking £150 off of energy bills for all UK households from April this year, freezing rail fares, freezing prescription charges to bring down inflation, which is currently at 3.2%. Bank of England think it will be back at target by late spring, early summer, and that will enable the Bank of England, so not taking shortcuts, but enable the bank to cut interest rates. On Antonio's question, I was laughing a little bit when people were talking about deregulation. Antonio and I, when I became Chancellor, would message each other regularly about development, I think in Horsham, was it, in Sussex, where you had some microscopic snails that, as a result, were stopping any houses being built. You know, in our regulatory system, we cared more about microscopic snails than we did about young families and first-time buyers getting on the housing ladder. Well, Antonio, I think you can confirm that has changed now. You are building those houses because we've changed the rules and regulations. We're letting people build stuff in Britain again, whether that is energy infrastructure, transport infrastructure, housing for our people, you name it, the data centres. And, you know, Ruth Porat, who's here this week, and others at Google and all of your big US companies are building data centres in Britain because we're making it easier for them to do so. And we don't have the regulation that some other countries have, which makes it easier to do business in Britain. But we absolutely recognise that challenge from business to make it easier to get stuff done. Planning and regulation are being torn up in the UK because we want to make it easier to do business. And finally, on Maureen's point about China, the trade intensity between the UK and China is lower than between the US and China, lower than Germany and China, lower than France and China. We don't want to be an outlier, but we are a bit of an outlier today, and we've missed out on opportunities for British businesses to sell into US markets. Brian and Bank of America do business in China. We want to help British businesses as well to be able to export to those fast-growing markets. That's in our national interest, but we also need to make sure that we use that relationship to challenge where necessary in a whole range of areas, including on areas such as dumping and the lack of respect for some rights of activists like Jimmy Lai, which we raise regularly with the Chinese. But you've got to be in the room to be able to have those conversations. You're not always going to be able to agree, but if you refuse to engage, then you're unable to have those difficult conversations too.
If I may, I'll go to another round of questions. We've got people queuing up in the audience. The gentleman here, smiling at me with a tie, woman here in the checked top, and then gent here in the middle. Oh, have we got over here? We'll do 4. OK, where you go?
Joel Hills from ITV News. A question for Mr Lutnick, if I can, from the UK, Mr Lutnick. It is said that President Trump rather likes and admires shows of strength. What would happen if Europe